Welcome back to The Secret Sauce with Sean, the show where we delve into the mind of a professional for a masterclass in what they do. Today, we've got another special guest prepared to share their story. As always, remember to like, share, and subscribe. And without further ado, we're going to get into who are you and what do you do?
I am Nicole Whitcomb. I am the owner of The Perfect Touch Wedding Planning.
What's your day-to-day look like? What's your work-life balance?
Yeah, so as the owner of the company, I work every single day, Monday through Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I am out in the field, so I'm out in the field doing weddings. I do a lot of the social media. I do a lot of emails. I take on all of the initial calls with our potential clients. So I am very busy.
And you're saying our, so it's not just you in this endeavor.
Correct. So I have 5 other girls that work for me. They're amazing.
Has your business grown since we've last spoken?
Yes.
Okay. Congratulations. That's great.
Thank you.
That means you found 5 people that you don't want to kill.
Exactly.
That's so good. So good.
Yes.
That's so amazing. Yeah. I can't imagine being in charge of, I can't imagine being in charge of people. Not ones that I got to choose, though. I've never gotten to that position within my career path. Yeah. So that's got to be interesting. So now the team's up to 5. Marvelous.
Yep.
And I guess give us a little bit of the day in and day out. Like what would a typical day for you look like in terms of how do you segment your time, or what are some of the normal tasks that you find yourself most commonly doing?
So I would say networking is huge. It's
Relatable.
important, obviously, for us to grow the company, grow the business. So for me to be able to reach out to different vendors that are in the area, grow a relationship, try and get on different preferred vendor lists is huge. So I take a lot of my time, looking on social media, finding vendors in the area, doing coffee meetings with those people. So that's something that I find is huge.
It's all a write-off.
Yep, exactly.
It's all a write-off.
Yes.
It makes sense. So you spend a lot of time talking, when you say local vendors, just because we understand the jargon, sometimes the audience won't. I know that we're talking about venues, but break down, I guess, what some of the vendors are and who you're kind of seeking out outside of wedding venues themselves.
Sure. So we have a lot of florists.
Okay.
Photographers, videographers, DJs. I'd say those are probably our main ones. Caterers are high up there too.
Just a random question that I just thought of. Out of all of the vendors, which vendor categorically is the toughest to get the information you need out of?
Ooh, that is tough.
I have a theory, but I'm not going to say it.
Let's see. I would say, sometimes DJs can be tough. Only because, and bands specifically, because they're out doing shows, right? Yeah. So weddings aren't strictly what they do. So when they're, their office life is out doing a performance, doing a show. So they're very hard to get a hold of sometimes. But they do always show up and do a very good job. So
no,
there's
great.
That. But
and just like everything, I don't mean to bash on DJs. I know there's going to be a DJ who watches this and it's like, I'm not like that.
Kevin, I love you. This has nothing to do with you.
Okay. Kevin, if you want to be on the show, give me a call.
Yes.
If you were going to summarize everything that you do to a new client, which I know you've had this planned, what would you say to them?
Sure. So we offer multiple planning packages. So some people will hire us for a month of coordination. Some people will hire us full service, like you guys did, where we start, we do everything start to finish. So, it's really whatever.
It's the best.
Yes.
I recommend it to anyone who's going to get married. Just pay someone full service and just don't think about a thing. Just show up and point at stuff.
He is not wrong. Yes, some of our clients can handle most of the back end work and say, we just need someone to show up day of and really help out. So that's something that we do. But as far as, full service, which is probably our most popular package, we do everything start to finish. So we help with budgeting. That's huge. We help with, finding the venue. That's their dream that they want.
Can be a nightmare. it can be a nightmare.
It can be tough finding that venue, yes. We do the back end work that most clients don't want to do. So we do the phone calls, the emails, the follow-ups with the vendors that don't want to respond.
Or family members.
Right. Family members. Yes. So, we do all of that. And then we present our clients with options, which is, makes it super easy on their part, just saying, yes, we want to go with this vendor. We do the reviewing of the contracts, which a lot of people don't want to do that. So
I always read every contract I sign.
As you should. Yeah, Sean, I believe you.
Yeah, you read every contract you sign. I guarantee you've gone to download something and it's been like, do you accept? And you've clicked accept.
That's fair.
Yeah, you don't. Yes. No way. Don't act like you're going to dog me out in the street on this.
Maybe in my personal life.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, of course. What was the lead up to this and what did that look like?
Sure. So 10 years ago, I got married. And I had a wedding planner through my venue, the Tapestry House. Shout out to the Tapestry House. We love them.
Are they local?
Yes, up in LaPorte.
Call me.
Yes, they are amazing. And so through that process, I was kind of watching our venue coordinator and just loved what she did. And it really resonated with me. And I said, okay, I think I can do this. So I talked to my husband and I said, what do you think? And of course, he was like, you should. So I did some research on some bridal shows in the area. I applied for a credit card because those booths are like $1,000 a piece. And I was like, okay, well, I got to figure out, a name. I got to get a website. I got to do the whole thing.
So you like grassrootsed it. This is, I love hearing this story because in the previous episodes, there kind of has been a little bit of a natural progression. Previous to this, we've had a realtor on and like obviously being a realtor kind of falls outside of the norm. You don't necessarily need a college degree to do it. Sure. And we've had a bar manager before this as well. And that's kind of the same thing. Like no one cares what college degree you have. Can you do the job? I have been dying to have this conversation of like the grassroots startup of starting a business and putting things together because like even for this podcast, when I was like, okay, I'm going to make a podcast. I'm like, well, that's an ambiguous statement. you're all juiced up for this moment of like, I'm going to do something. Yes. And then everyone's like, yeah. And then you're like, what is it? And you're like, I don't know. How do I do this? So like 10 years ago, you had this intonation. You're like, I want to make a business. You got a credit card and you were looking at starting a booth, you said?
Yep. At a bridal show. So basically, yep.
So can you go more into that? Because I don't know what a bridal show is, which means they won't know as well. Like, what is a bridal show?
Yeah, so it's for all brides, grooms. They show up, and basically all these different vendors are there with their booths, showing what they got. They're promoting their business. There's caterers there. There's photographers there. So I had my.
So is it like a wedding industry convention?
Correct.
Almost?
Yes.
Of like. So it's like a networking event for vendors to showcase what they can do.
Exactly.
And then brides and grooms go to these bridal shows? Wow. We didn't do any of that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that they even existed.
Yeah.
Okay. This is cool. I had it makes sense because if you were a plumber or something like that, you would go to a trade show. Or if you wanted to start and if you don't know what any of this is, consult Google. It will help.
Right.
I promise you can do it. So it makes sense though. I never even imagined that these were around because bridal shows just sounds like The Bachelor on TV to me.
That's fair.
But that's so cool. And so that was how you got your startup, was getting a booth and just running it.
Correct.
Did you sign your first client at one of these bridal shows?
I did. My first bridal show.
Do you remember your very first client?
I do.
Okay.
Yes.
Was it do you remember the feeling you had in that moment?
Oh, yes. I wanted to cry, all sorts of things. But I was so excited and I just got this feeling in my body. I was like, okay, this is my passion. This is my niche. This is what I'm going to do with my life. Okay.
And so since then, it's been nothing but smiles and giggles, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, right? Business ownership is fun. Yeah. We love this.
Everything's perfect. It's the perfect touch.
Yeah, it's the perfect touch. I have never made a mistake in my life.
Never.
So you get this first client at a bridal show, and then kind of, I guess, describe the growth from there and like how things are. Because obviously there has to be a path from where you were at to I now have 5 people that work for me willingly.
Yeah.
Like, which is great. And they're probably going to watch this and they're like, I was there. I was on the show.
Yes.
They talked about me.
Right. Yeah. So the first 5 years, it was just me, myself, and I did enjoy that. Through time, as I started getting, bigger, we brought the rentals on. So we are also a full service rental company. So that is something that is huge for us. With that, of course, we need more, hands on deck, right? So as I've gotten bigger, I feel like I've had a lot of interns reach out to me, which is how I found most of my girls, or how they have found me. They've reached out and said, hey, I'm looking for an internship. Your company looks great. And so that's kind of where all of my girls have started.
Ooh, that feels like a sweet spot. I kind of want to hit on that because I feel like there's a little bit of a nugget of knowledge going on here.
Yeah.
So with an intern, that is kind of like a symbiotic beneficial way for you to breed your perfect employee.
Yeah.
That's some gold right there. So if people are starting a business or want to get involved in business, and I think there's another question I want to follow up here. You would advise looking into interns though, definitely to start growing from that point.
Oh, absolutely.
And were those, I assume they were paid internships.
So they're actually unpaid. I do sometimes pay mileage depending on where they choose their weddings, but that's another thing is they get to pick and choose which weddings they want to
I'm getting it. So they do the unpaid internship so they can actually learn from you to develop the skills to basically do exactly what you're doing in full-time wedding plan. When you brought them on, are they all on staff now or some still in internship? Are they all, like, what's, I guess, the progression of where the business is at, just for the frame of reference?
Yeah, all of them are actually full-time lead planners. So I would trust any of them with my own wedding.
They decided to stay under your tutelage despite the fact that they could go off and do it on their own.
Yeah.
Is that because business ownership terrifies the living crud out of them?
I'm pretty sure all of them have said that what I do is very scary, and they're not wrong. Being an owner is very scary. There's a lot that comes with it.
At what point in your business did you realize, like, okay, it is financially... Well, maybe it wasn't even, that doesn't feel like the right question. At what point was it a must? Where it's like, I have to get someone, whether I can afford it or not.
Right. I would say when I started having to turn down clients because I was too busy. And so for me, I was like, oh gosh, I hate having to turn clients away, right? Like this could be obviously great money, but like we could help these brides out as well. So that's when I kind of sat down and I was like, okay, I think we could expand the team a little bit, which was nerve-wracking because this company is my baby. So bringing someone in who I don't know, and trusting them with my life basically is scary.
Yeah, I can really see where you're coming from on that.
Yeah.
I can imagine. I think as I've even stepped into this, I'm starting to realize that business ownership is a lot more brick and mortar than I ever thought it was. I think the average person thinks that all businesses are ran with like high speed technology, and there's like they think that like all of the scheduling is done through, I think they kind of compare it to their experience with an iPhone maybe.
Sure.
Because your iPhone, you're like, oh, I need a phone. And your iPhone does everything.
It does everything. Right.
It has a calculator. It has apps. It has your calendar. And so they think that they're like, oh, well, business owners have money and they have all these, they must have like some kind of program, like a computer software program that does everything for them or that helps them keep track. And some businesses do have that. But I think there's a lot more brick and mortar to most businesses than I think that the audience is aware of or that I was aware of.
Yeah.
And so that has got to be, I can imagine like even already as I'm thinking through how I've put this podcast together, like my networking is an Excel sheet that I update every week.
Yeah.
And I have like categories that I had to develop to figure out who I've contacted, when I've contacted them, when I should reach out to them again. And I do that so I don't pester people because I also believe in transparency and kindness.
Sure.
So at the same time, though, I'm just thinking about your business and what all the metrics that you have. And I'm like, oh my gosh, she's probably got like PDF files and like computer stuff, like just raw data, which of course I'm sure you could pay for some kind of program that was like, they would charge you gouge you a huge amount of money per year to use.
Right.
And it may not even do everything you actually need it to. So you would still have some kind of clutter outside that falls outside the system that you have to organize and keep track of. So I can't imagine how scary it was to like bring someone in and be like, all right, here's the password.
Right.
Like,
yeah. I mean, I think too, you know, where I'm at now is, you know, as the owner, there's a lot of roles that I have to do. So, you know, all of these initial phone calls, which is, you know, sometimes 5 a day. I have to keep up with social media. I have to do the networking. I have to, you know, there's a lot of things that I have to do outside of the field. So it's nice to be able to have a team also to say, okay, I'm not going to take on this next wedding personally so that I can really focus on growing the company.
Do you ever get a client that you can't refuse? Do you have like someone walk through the door and you're like, I have to plan this wedding? Does that still happen for you?
Like me personally?
Yeah.
Yes. I do get some people that are like, you know, what would it take for us to have you personally? And, you know, I do love that. I feel honored, but I do also say that my girls are amazing. But, you know, so Chile is a venue up in Estes Park that holds a very special place in my heart. I grew up there. I kind of helped them start the wedding process. And so when clients come to me and they're getting married at Chile, those are the ones where I'm like, okay, I'm going to take on all of those because it's my home, you know? So, yeah.
Just from going through the process with you, I know for a fact you love what you do.
I absolutely love what I do. And, you know, we're helping with, you know, someone's biggest day of their life. And that's huge. That's important. And so, you know, I always tell my girls that we are quality over quantity. I'm never going to overbook us. Like, we want to make sure that we can give our clients 100% of our attention and make sure that their day is everything that they want.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's so great. So let's get into the secret sauce of it. This is my favorite. What would, like, maybe along the way, did you get any really bad advice from anyone? Most people have a mentor in a story or someone who kind of like helped them. Did you get a piece of advice that was just awful and that you know, followed, and looking back now, you're like, if I had never gotten that piece of advice, I would have been so much better at what I do?
Yes. So just offer everything to everyone. Say yes to everything. Yes, we can do that. Sure, we can do that. We can help you, you know, we can hang your floral. We can pick up your wedding cake. We can bust your tables. We can MC your event.
So basically, just don't have boundaries.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, boundaries are really unhealthy, guys. If you know anything about emotional health, we like to take boundaries and throw them out the window. Don't incorporate them into your marriage. Don't incorporate them into your job. Right. They're really bad.
They're really bad.
Okay. Who? Don't answer that.
Go
yeah,
there.
don't go there.
Go there.
Don't go there. Don't go there. Okay, so I mean, yeah, that adds up. So you obviously went through a period where you were like saying yes to everything.
Yeah.
And did you feel like you were on fire all the time?
I did. I cried a lot too. I was like, I'm wearing too many hats. What is happening? We need to focus solely on wedding planning and what we do. So my contract has gotten a lot longer as we're learning all these things, right?
Has it changed since we've been with you, or did you have it mostly tacked down by the time that we were there?
Well, it wasn't you guys in particular at all, but no, yeah, we've had to keep adding to our contract, you know, that we're not the caterers, right? So we're not going to bust your tables. We want to make sure that we're there doing our job, right? And so as hard as it was to say, like, no, we can't do that, we do have to put our foot down so that we can do our job 100%. Right.
Because you're, like, I work in project management currently, and you basically are a project manager. The project is the wedding. The manager is you.
Right.
So I totally understand that at times you have to tell people, you're just like, hey, I know that you have a need, and it is not my job to fulfill that need.
Right.
Like, this is what I am to do.
We'll help you find out how we can, you know, make it work, but if we do that, then we can't help you in the way that you hired us to help you.
I just imagine the meme of that dog just sitting there with a cup on fire, and you're like, this is fine. Yeah. Everything's fine. It's just burning all around him.
That's what would happen if they rely on us to do strictly everything.
Okay, so in contrast, did you get a piece of good advice? Like, did you get something from someone that upon hearing it, you were like, oh my gosh, if I had gotten this one piece of advice years earlier, I would have been like so much better for this. How did I not get this advice till now? Maybe it was even from a book you read or a mentor you talked to.
So I would say, you know, because I would get worked up thinking that I can control everything. right? I'm the wedding planner. Something bad happens, which of course we're there to help make sure that that doesn't happen. But in all reality, we can't control when vendors are delayed. If there's a guest issue, if
the dress doesn't
weather.
arrive at the venue.
Right. Like
the suit never got ordered.
Right. So
I have no idea what these things are like.
Yeah,
I'm just saying,
Right.
as a point of reference, it could happen.
It could happen. And there's some things that are just truly out of our control as planners. And of course, we do everything in our power to make those things right. But yeah, there's, if a caterer decides to wake up late and show up late, there's only so much that we can do, right? So just always having a plan B for truly anything and everything is huge.
I love that.
Yeah.
Would you take that further and even to say, like, would you apply that across your business? Is just having a plan B
Having
always?
a plan B. Yeah, all of my girls are trained to have a plan B for anything, right? So say we're setting up a wedding and it's strictly all outdoors. Why are we putting hurricane vases outside glass on concrete? Like, why are we doing that? Let's have a plan. Let's think ahead. That's a huge one. Think ahead. What's going to work, what's not going to work, but then also have a plan B as far as, okay, it's always going to be windy up at this venue, or it looks like it's probably going to rain for 15 minutes, always around this time.
Shout out to Windsong for giving us the option of shifting indoor.
Yes.
If you can, as a
Right.
piece of advice, if you have a venue and you're trying to decide on which venue is better and one of them gives you an option to shift indoor if weather occurs and you're
Huge.
trying to plan an outdoor wedding, I will just tell you right now that is untold amounts of value.
Deal breaker. Yeah. I mean, you want to be able to feel, assured on your wedding day that, okay, the worst that can happen, is that it
We
rains.
go inside.
It rains and then we go inside, but it's still beautiful and it's going to be okay.
I know that my best friends are going to watch this, and you know them. But at their wedding, they had exactly that. It not only did it rain, it poured.
Oh yeah.
And they just continued
Which is
the wedding.
good luck. I think I always say it's good luck.
Oh,
Are
it
they
is.
still
I mean,
together?
they are still together. They are like
Yes.
one of the strongest married couples I know.
Yes.
I look up to them. Like, we take advice from them very often, and they're like super cool. They always, just with how things have fallen, they've been together, I think, over 5 years now.
Yeah.
And they're always like one half step or one step ahead of us in life. So it's kind of nice because they're kind of like, we can watch what they do. And
Yeah.
when they run into bumps, and we can like, oh yeah, we'll avoid that. And then we just don't do that. And we're like,
Right. Okay.
oh, okay, that
Okay,
looked awful.
yeah.
We're not going to go through that.
Thanks for showing us.
Yeah. No, of course. Learn from other people's experience. What was the most challenging thing that you've probably run into in terms of like, I think overall, like for you personally, what was something that like when you ran into it, you thought like, maybe I just hang up we just hang the coat up.
Yeah.
Call it done.
It can be tough with different personalities, right? I'm trying to be kind here, but there are some people within the wedding party, whether it's parents, whether it's, whoever.
We don't have to be kind.
That
We can be mean.
can be,
The internet's going to be ruthless to us, so we can at least pay it back. Like,
right. They can just kind of treat us as the planners as help and just kind of be extremely rude and disrespectful to us, right? When all we're trying to, we've been on our feet all day. We're doing nothing but try and help the bride and the groom.
I'm like getting angry for
Yes.
you. I'm like, oh, people are treating her subhuman.
Yes, and I've had men specifically be very degrading towards me and yell at me, and that is something that is very hard in this industry. Is you have to take everything with a grain of salt. But again, going back to the contract,
I see why you thought I was a great groom.
yeah, I loved you.
I was
Sean.
just toasted half the time. Like, what's going on with Sean? He's like 3 tequila shots in.
Oh, yeah.
He's doing great. Don't let him out of the room.
You were there were rounds of tequila shots at your wedding all night.
yeah.
I loved that.
No, yeah, our wedding was well greased.
It was.
Like,
How many shots did you take at your wedding?
I don't know.
Yeah, we don't need to say it out loud.
Yeah.
But should we? I feel like we should.
There was a lot. Yeah, there was a lot.
You held it though. You did great.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate talent of mine. Did you have any lessons in your time as a wedding planner that completely blindsided you?
Yeah, I would say when vendors find out that a client has a wedding planner, of course they're excited, almost too excited, to where they just kind of hands off.
Oh, they stopped doing their job?
They stop doing their job and they say, well, the wedding planner has it. It's fine. So, and it's like, well, that's not how it works here. You still have to fully do your job, people. You got to show up and do your job. Like, the wedding
Can you imagine if we did that? Like, oh, well, like, imagine a trash company is like, oh, well, they have a trash can?
Mm-hmm.
We just won't pick up the trash anymore.
Right.
They've got a can.
Right.
It's like, no, that's not how that works.
Right.
You need to empty the can, please. Like,
exactly.
I just can't imagine this. Like, I think I'm definitely not the best at what I do. I'm also not the worst at what I do. I know that. But, like, I just can't imagine being the person that's like, I found out one tidbit of information. I'm going to cease to function entirely.
Yes.
And just, like, go brain dead, like, cut it off at the cerebral.
That happens sometimes. And it's like, okay, well, we're also doing 1,000 other things over here that we're actually contracted for. So if you could, like, still do your job that you're contracted for, that would be great. Which it's very rare, but it does happen,
No, I think it happens more than you're letting on. It goes back to there's such a it's a variance of people, right? I think a lot of the times, I love this comparison. I was talking about this with a friend last night. But like, I think currently our culture demonizes rich people. Mm-hmm. They imagine that like all rich people are like evil, maniacal, awful. And then the opposite side of that, like poor people are like good people that we should take care of. And I'm like, well, no, there's a spectrum like all across the board, right?
Sure.
You probably have like really terrible poor people or people who are poor, and you probably have really great ones. And then similarly, I imagine there's really great rich people, and there's probably some pretty terrible ones too. Mm-hmm. So I imagine that like with all of your vendors there, that is probably like thinking about it now, like as I'm playing this through my head, that's got to be so challenging, is that every single wedding, you're going to have a different list of vendors that are all going to have a different level of skill. And your job is to almost, as a wedding planner in a way, you are trying to synchronize their different levels of skill sets to perform this like kind of dance. It's almost like a partner dance where everyone gets involved. It's like a folk dance. You got the whole town involved. You got like 30 vendors.
Yes. So our month of day of clients, we don't have a lot of, say on who they book as their vendors, right? They kind of do all of that back end work. So we do give them access to our preferred vendor list and say, hey, we're going to still give you our suggestions, our advice on which vendors to choose, because we want nothing more than to have a team of vendors that we know, that we trust, are going to do a good job. We know how they work. So that's why full service is nice, because we can really have our hands on vendors. And we have so many vendors on our preferred vendor list that we love and trust.
If you were going to make a roadmap, let's say you had 18-year-old Nicole, and you're looking at her and she's like, I'm going to be a wedding planner. And you were like, okay, listen here. You're going to do exactly what I tell you, and this is exactly what you're going to do. And you're going to do everything I say and nothing but what I say. You're going to make sure that you do these things. What would you tell her to get her to where you are faster?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would say probably hire a team quicker. That's a huge thing, right? But this is so cliche, but I would just say like to never give up and just trust yourself, right? Mm-hmm. So there were times where I doubted myself and it brought me 3 steps back. And really it's like, no, I know what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing, And so I would say just go with your heart. And the team is something that is really helped.
You can shout out your team if you want to.
I love my team. I love all of you girls. You're amazing.
I hope that they do get to watch this. And
they will. I'm going to share it with them.
Yeah, they should blast it out on their social media as well.
Yeah.
I think I'm almost wondering, should I get one of them on the show and just get the insider of what it's like to work underneath you?
Yes. I got 2 girls in Denver and 3 girls up here. So.
Wow. Oh, okay. I didn't realize you were trans-regional.
Oh yeah, we're all over.
If you were going to make a step-by-step guide, do you think, like, would you tell her, hey, do the bridal show? Like, do it immediately?
Yeah, I would definitely say that. Because that was huge. That's really how I started. It didn't initially matter about my logo and my name. It was more so like getting myself out there and seeing if this was my niche, if this is what I wanted to do, if this is something I was good at, what I liked, what I loved.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Well, the last thing is like, what's next, and where can people find you?
Yeah.
Because that's the biggest thing. Is I think I want people to know who you are.
Sure.
And to run at you with open arms and be like, oh my God, please help me. My wedding's a nightmare.
Yeah. So we actually do have some exciting news.
Oh.
We are helping getting a venue open here in Johnstown next to Shields.
Wait, what?
Yes.
Wait, so okay, like you're getting a venue open. So are you owning this?
We're not the owners. I will be the general manager of this space. The Perfect Touch will be exclusive planners, will be exclusive for rentals. So we are helping getting everything kind of put together, designed. We're hoping to be open June 1st. So it's very exciting.
Oh, wow. Okay, so this is like coming up and
This
recent.
is happening. Yes.
So is this a stay tuned moment?
This is a stay tuned moment. Absolutely. I'd love to hopefully bring on the venue owner on your podcast.
Oh, I would love to. Yes, network us.
Yes.
Please. That would be, I would love that. That would be amazing.
That's what I was, totally thinking. But we are excited. So we'll have that, and then of course we're still going to be doing the Perfect Touch wedding planning, on the side in a way. But we're going to be busier than ever. Yes,
dude, my mind is like blown. That's huge news for you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And then, guys, if you guys want to follow the Perfect Touch or get in touch with them, I'm going to include all of their information in the description so you guys can get in touch with them. I will always recommend the Perfect Touch. If you live in Colorado and you're looking to do a wedding, it's the only way to go, and do the full service. It is worth every penny. It will make your wedding experience absolutely flawless. And as you guys probably heard, every wedding's going to have problems. There are problems in ours, and it still felt like the best day in the world, and I wouldn't change the thing.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thank you, Sean.
Thanks so much for being here, Nicole.
Yes, this was amazing. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Catch you next time.
Yes.
Thanks for watching today's episode of The Secret Sauce with Sean. If you like today's episode, holler at a homie and head over to my channel for episodes just like this one. If you have any questions, comments, or hate, drop them in the section below and hit me up for your shot in the hot seat.